One of the emotions that is quite widespread in the Western world is anger. And not unique, obviously, to the Western world. Anger is something that creates violence, creates wars, and causes terrorism, causes all of the things that have happened in the last few decades as a result of that anger being existent in the world. And the best place to start, of course, is always with ourselves. So how do we deal with anger in ourselves? I think first of all we have to recognize what type of anger we're dealing with. There are basically three types of anger. There's the anger, if you looked at the previous video on frustration. Frustration leads to anxiety, and anxiety can lead to anger. Some people react to anxiety by becoming angry. And that anger is one type of anger. The second type is what I call the habitual anger. This is an anger that is deep-seated within us, and it comes perhaps from the culture we were raised in, or the family we were raised in. The norm within that even organization can be one of looking at anger as an acceptable behavior. The third type of anger is an anger that is even more deep-seated, and this is an unconscious anger, and so you don't even recognize that anger is there, and something suddenly triggers this anger to emerge, and perhaps from a deep-seated hurt at some earlier part of your life. Regardless of the cause of the anger, regardless of the type of anger, we can deal with that anger in the same way. And the way to deal with it is the way that we've been dealing with things all along, if you've been following these videos, and that is to use a process of mindfulness. Whenever anger happens, it has been triggered by something. The example I give in the book is one of road rage. Something happens, somebody cuts you off, and you react with anger. It's that simple. And to short-circuit that, what we need to look at is, okay, when we're cut off, what is going on? What are the thought processes that go on within our head? It's easy to say, well, we immediately jump to anger. Well, in fact, we don't. We tend to go through a thought process that leads to anger. So by meditating on that thought process, is it your pride that's hurt? Is it something else that's going on that causes anger? Is it the fear of perhaps this person is a danger to you and other people and that makes you angry? There are a variety of reasons why we react with anger. And what we need to do is we need to put the anger into perspective. And so putting it into perspective, we can look at the anger with mindfulness. As the anger arises, look at the anger. Write it down. Write it in your meditation journal. Go back when you go for your meditation review, which hopefully by now is daily. So you do your relaxation, you do your meditation, you learn to go to a happier disposition and state of consciousness. You learn to move then to tranquility and calmness and peace, and be filled with that spirit And from that point, we can then take the time to review our meditation journal and look at what we wrote about the anger. What was it that triggered that anger? And why are we reacting that way? It's really, really interesting and very important to go through this. You're going to gain insights into the anger. And all of a sudden you'll notice that if you start trying to study this as a form of meditation practice, that as you look around the world, you can see it in others. You perhaps see a mother getting angry at a child in the grocery store for not behaving properly. You see on television people who are so angry they move to violence. You perhaps see it in your family members. You look at them in a different way, because all of a sudden now it's not just that's the way we are, it's a looking at the family and saying, wow, do we really have to be like that? And not being holier than thou, not saying to them, you know, this is what we do in our family and we should do it differently. It's simply by becoming a better example ourselves. So by not going to anger ourselves in the way that we have done in the past, the first reaction is that family members are confused. Why are we not getting this reaction? And then it starts them to question their own anger. Because there's no point in them being angry if it doesn't elicit the same response in you. And things begin to change. Your family becomes a much nicer place to be. And things are much more peaceful. And it spreads to your friends. And you become a seed for a more peaceful world. A less angry world. So this is how important it is. You can see the cause and effect throughout the world. So if we can start with ourselves, and we can simply ask the question, what was the thought that triggered the anger? And where did that thought come from? Does it really have any substance? Is there really any reason why I should act this way? Is it perhaps a habit? And the nice thing, you can say, well, it's part of my genetics. One of the things that scientists have found is that behaviors that have become part of your genetic code can actually be changed. And so it's not a matter of that's the way we are. It's a matter of, that used to be the way we are, but now we're trying to change that. And over time, it will happen. Be well, be happy, meditate.